4 contestants enter, but only 1 leaves a champion. That's right, it's time for the one and only Project Nerd Game Show. Live from the Project Nerd Studios in StreamYard, it's The Last Word.
Welcome to The Last Word. I'm your host, Andy. I'm very excited to have you here today watching us wherever you are at home, in a different country, a different continent, a different universe, a different multiverse, wherever you're coming from. We're so excited to have you here. I want to bring on my guest for today. The first person really doesn't need an introduction. He's been here quite a bit. His name is Eric. Eric, welcome to Last Word. Great to see you today.
It's great to see you too. Russell Wilson to the Broncos. What's up with that?
What a day for Broncos fans. Dane is who I'm going to bring in next. Now, Dane, you are a face that we see all over the place here at Project Nerd. Welcome aboard for the Last Word. It's my first episode with you. Good to see you.
No, this is my first episode since 2021, I would say. And I'm a Seahawks fan, so that Russell Wilson trade hurts a little bit today. So
didn't want to say anything. Sorry for your loss, sir. and last but not least, also new for me, but not new to Project Nerd, it's our friend Drew. How's it going, Drew?
What's up, guys? Can't forget Aaron Rodgers is now the highest paid player in football, too.
He is, and we didn't pay him as Denver fans, so I'm okay with that. That's a big win for us. All right, well, we got a great show today. We're only going to have 3 contestants, so you guys might get to stick around a little bit longer than usual. But let's just get right into it with our round 1. Now, if you have not been here with us before, the scoring is arbitrary, so good luck in impressing me with your answers. Batman made $250 million worldwide this weekend, and it was the 3rd biggest movie weekend in the last 3 years, only behind weeks 1 and 2 of Spider-Man last year. And this is a huge feat considering this is yet another Batman movie, right? Like how many we did discuss last time. There's already talks about spin-offs for this, including a Gotham PD show that's now developed in kind of more of an Arkham Asylum mystery horror series. And the website for the new movie is already hinting at the sequel. And we, of course, know is coming from Matt Reeves. So now that we know that this movie is successful, do you think DC can land the multiverse thing with Flash later this year, or are the fans going to be confused and frustrated with how this all plays out? Eric, let's go first with you.
I think the two are completely unrelated. Because this landed doesn't necessarily mean that the Flash movie is going to land. Any movie can land with a good script, a good direction, and a good vision. Unfortunately, I think that DC is rushed into the multiverse as a response to Spider-Man, even though this Flash movie has been in development for, I think, at least 6-7 years, well before Justice League. I don't have a lot of faith in DC, only because it seems like they're always trying to chase Marvel's tail.
Dane, I know that you're not a huge DC fan as well, but Michael Keaton's got quite the ASMR voice. Are you excited for Flash? Do you think he can do it?
So Michael Keaton was my entry into like superhero movies. It was the first superhero movie I remember seeing as a kid. I think it was like 89 or whatever. And so if anything's going to bring a lot of people back and like warm them up to DC and the multiverse, I think it would be Michael Keaton as Batman. However, why isn't that happening in a Batman movie? I'm actually not a big fan of Ezra Miller's Flash at all. I like him in some movies, like Perks of Being a Wallflower. Even in Fantastic Beasts, he was okay. Not a big fan of him as Flash. And I don't know that I think that they're drawing the parallel of Spider-Man being Flash, but he's like they're like similar. So yes, you can put Flash in the multiverse, but like he says, it's chasing Marvel's tail is what it is. And I don't know that it's going to make that kind of money being a Flash movie.
If Tom Holland is a 10 out of 10 likable, Ezra Miller's got to be like a 4. So I totally agree with you there. Not a huge Ezra Miller fan, although his Flash has not been terrible so far. He's done pretty good, at least with the Zack Snyder Justice League. Drew, what do you think about this Flash movie? Can DC nail it?
I mean, I don't want to go with the rest of the crew and say no, but no. They've already second guessing themselves on the Gotham PD, which I wasn't a fan of to begin with, because I was a big fan of Gotham. Thought they did a pretty good job with that. I mean, just bringing up stuff that is still fresh, like nothing can sit for a couple of years. You got to rehash it and redo it and make another one. And I think this was a one-off. I think this Batman success, which I haven't even seen it yet, it does not translate well because they're going to rush into it and they're not going to do it well. And they might have to redo it. Isn't that their kind of thing? They make something, hate it, and then redo it. So maybe they'll get it right the second time.
I know you guys have not seen the movie. Jeffrey Wright is really, really good as Commissioner Gordon. He's arguably one of the better parts of this movie as well. And so, I'm excited to see him. I was excited for Gotham PD, but now, like you're saying, it's changing into what? Arkham Asylum. We don't know what that's actually going to be now. I've watched the movie and I don't know what that's going to be. So, we could be in for yet another long, tumultuous year of figuring out whether or not DC could make this work. Hopefully Flash nails it and does well for us. So regardless, made a ton of money, right? And did more without Nolan. So
That's
made more
what
than
it's
any
all
of those
about, right?
movies.
Well, I mean, Wonder Woman was awesome, but they weren't able to like repeat that success with Wonder Woman 84. That's the last DC Universe movie that I saw. And so maybe now you know why I haven't been following. but
sorry for your
could
loss.
just be another one where it was a great success right out of the gate, but now they don't know what to do with it properly.
Yeah.
Dane, you did bring this up. What would be a character for you that would, outside of Batman, and let's take Superman off the table too. What's a character for you that would be like, wow, I'd love to see that DC movie made?
Well, I never actually read the DC comics when I was a kid. I was all Marvel, but I used to have the Superpowers action figures in the 80s, and Hawkman was my favorite. And I saw him in that DC trailer, and he looks awesome. So
it looks like he might be a big part of Black Adam, so that should be pretty
give
cool.
me Hawkman, okay?
Drew, what about you? What would be your DC movie that you'd want to have made?
Well, I know that they really like doing, the character origin stories and things like that. I would love a deep dive into my favorite villain. And I mean, I guess you get a little bit of it in this movie, but I want a deep Riddler. I want to see some crazy Riddler movie, because I feel like it gets put on the back burner from the Joker all the time.
Well, and if the Riddler is involved somehow in this Arkham Asylum show, if there's flashbacks to him in development, I would love to see some of that. I think it would be a great origin story. He was a really good character in the movie too. So
nice.
All right, well, let's get to our second question of the day, and this one's a little more on the serious note. PlayStation and Xbox have both halted sales of games in Russia now due to international conflict between Russia and Ukraine. They're joining the likes of many movie studios. WB mainly is one of them, who pulled the release of Batman, and other companies as well who will not be doing business with Russia until this conflict is over. So I want to talk about this idea of gaming and entertainment companies putting pressure on companies politically. Normally this is not subject we get into, right? But, some say that the people of Russia are not to blame for this and they shouldn't be punished, while most seem to be siding with the companies who want to put pressure on the leadership in Russia to make some change. So I just am curious what you guys' thoughts are on this. We might not be a ton of scoring, but I want to talk about something that's important and going on in the world right now. Dane, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I mean, instantly you want to say like, yes, take everything away from them so the people revolt or they won't take it anymore. But we've seen what's happened in North Korea. Like sometimes a person mad with power just doesn't care. And so truly the people are being punished there and they're being cut off from the rest of the world. So it remains to be seen if that's what's going to happen with Russia. But at the same time, you do have to, I think that they're making the right decisions, like even in the sports world and stuff, taking it further, like kicking them out of World Cup and things like that. Like these are the types of things that have repercussions that affect everybody in that country. And so maybe they will like not sit quietly and do something about it.
We've definitely seen this with sports before, but I cannot remember pressure from entertainment companies like this before on an international scale. I think this is the first time, and I could be wrong. So if I am, please correct me. But Drew, what do you think about what's going on?
I mean, it's I'm torn on the subject, because you feel helpless, being, the bigger companies taking things away from them makes you feel like you're able to do something. But I feel like the people that are hurting are the ones that would stand up to Putin if they could, like it's not the older generation that has been watching the propaganda and has bought into what he's saying and actually believes him. It's the younger, I mean, I'm imagining, I'm sure there's a grandpa in Russia that's pissed off he's not gaming right now, but I think it's the young kids that, if they could stand up, but they've seen what happens when you stand up, so I feel like I'm torn. You can't sit back and be like, whatever, and then you also can't, you're hurting the wrong people.
Eric, what do you think about it?
I think you're definitely hurting the wrong people, but as much as it sucks to hurt the wrong people, Russia is essentially threatening to nuke all of us. So do I think this is the right answer? No. But if you look at all the bank sanctions that have been levied against Russia, we've already collapsed their economy. The ruble is kind of done. So will this work? I don't know, but we have to do something. Something has to be done. If not, we're going to be the ones that are suffering as well. But do I think Russian gamers should suffer? Absolutely not. They don't want this.
Right.
A very interesting consequence to the ruble collapsing too. Games like Escape from Tarkov that have like an online community built around the ruble are having issues with some of their in-game sales now because the ruble's values changed, and it's changed a lot of the values of the stuff in game too. So I know that's a really weird small consequence to it, but I think ultimately pressure needs to be placed, right? And hopefully things are going to get done and get changed in this. We don't want to see this continue. And, if you want to support the people of Ukraine, there's a lot of ways you could do that. Look it up online. We'd be happy to help and show you a way to do that too. If you need as well, just reach out to us. All right. Okay. Well, no scores in that round. So we're at 2 across the board after the first 2 questions. We're going to go straight into round 2 because there's nobody else to eliminate. All right. Movie scores can really make a good film turn great, or it can pull us as an audience member right out of a scene if it's something that doesn't work right. Michael Giacchino did a fantastic job scoring the new Batman movie, and it got me to thinking about how many awesome composers we have right now in TV and film. So I want to know who your go-to composer is in 2022 and why. Is it Hans Zimmer? Is it Giacchino? Is there a dark horse like Bear McCreary? Let's see. Let's start with Drew on this one. Drew, who is your go-to composer?
It's kind of the low-hanging fruit here, but I'm going to go with Zimmer, if I'm saying that. If I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. I just see his name pop up everywhere. I've never heard it actually pronounced. But just for his diversity, correct, he goes from The Simpsons to the Dark Knight series. He has my heart because he did FIFA 19. I really enjoyed that. But a dark horse shout out to I'm going to butcher this, Ludwig Göransson, because he helped.
That's exactly right.
Okay, cool. The music for Atlanta. I'm a huge fan. I love that.
Ludwig Göransson also does the theme song to Mandalorian, and he also does the theme song to Book of Boba Fett too. So totally agree with that. That's a great pick. Great call out there. Dane, what do you think? What do you got for your pick of composer?
First off, that Mando theme song is chef's kiss for that. So my favorite composer of all time is Howard Shore, but he actually has not been doing a lot lately. I think he might even be semi-retired just due to his age. But he's scored 2 of my 3 favorite films, which are Lord of the Rings trilogy, which I count as 1, and Ed Wood, which is my 3rd favorite movie. It's like the rare instance of a Tim Burton movie not being scored by Danny Elfman. Howard Shore steps in and does this amazing zither score. But so for like 2022, because Howard's not done much in the past few years, give me Alexander Desplat, who's done some Harry Potter movies. He did the last 2 in the series. He did The Shape of Water, which has a beautiful score. That's something I would like buy on vinyl and just listen to by itself. And all the recent like Wes Anderson movies, starting with Fantastic Mr. Fox, which was excellent. So I just love his range he's got a great range. Like he also did Argo, so he can do the intensity, and he can do like lighthearted fun, like sneaky stuff like Fantastic Mr. Fox.
When you are able to work with Wes Anderson on things, and he is magical. That's a really great selection. Eric, what do you think for your composer? Who do you like?
Even though he's not doing a movie this year, to my knowledge, he might be. I was really stoked to see that the Obi-Wan score is going to be done by none other than John Williams. So I got to go with the ace.
Classic.
Right?
Yeah.
Classic. I mean, come on. I'm surprised you guys didn't mention him. I was a little sad I was going 3rd, but now I'm not, because we got to give props to John Williams, and I can't wait to see what he does with Obi-Wan.
What a crazy shock that he's doing the television show too, right? I mean, I thought that was a big deal when they brought him on to do that. Dane, you brought up the vinyl. You know, a soundtrack's good when you can hit the vinyls, right? Like if you got a vinyl for the soundtrack, it's going to be on repeat a lot. So that's all great picks. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those there. So we only have one question left in our first 2 rounds. I'm going to give you the scores right now. Dane, you have 7. Drew, you're at 6. Eric, you're at 6. So this is incredibly tight going into our final question in the first 2 rounds here. AMC has announced variable pricing for Batman. So what that means is that they are going to be pricing seats a little bit more for the Batman movie on opening weekend. And I guess it's already over now, but they're charging up to $1.50 more in certain theaters for the opening weekend tickets. They also have in the past dabbled with the idea of paying for more per seat right in the middle of the theater versus that front row seat that might suck. Maybe paying a little bit less for that location. Comparative, right? If your normal price is $12, you sit in the front row, maybe you pay $9 or $10. And they've been playing around with this idea for a few years now. So does this seem to make sense for a recovering movie industry? Or do you think that this is going to make people think twice about heading to the theater to see a new movie with this variable pricing? Eric, why don't you go first?
Andy, I don't think it makes sense for a struggling movie industry. However, based on my last 3 experiences going to the movies, outside of going to a private screening with some of y'all that live in town, I would pay $40 to go see a movie if you don't have some asshole either breathing or talking through the entire thing. My Batman experience was the worst person that's ever sat next to me. If I would have known, I would have bought that seat and the seat next to my girlfriend, and it would have been a much better experience. So would I pay more to guarantee that I could have a good experience at the movies? Yes. Would I pay more just to see a particular film? Probably not. And I do not think it's the right move financially.
I definitely would pay more to sit away from a heavy breather if I knew that was going to be the case. Although there's no guarantee that heavy breather guy is not the one buying those tickets. Drew, do you think that you'd pay more for a certain movie or that you'd pay like less to sit in the front row, for example?
I think they need to lean more towards the not a bad seat in the house with some of these theaters where they have the reclining chairs that, you are guaranteed to be away from people. If you want to sit next to someone, there's 2 like right next to each other, and then there's a little space, and then there's 2 more. I think that they need to focus more on the theater experience as opposed to let's cram as many people in we can get in and charge this guy $1.50 more because he's right in the middle. It's Americans in 2022. I hate to pull the idiocracy card, but you don't want to throw math into this when people are already going on the joke with a popcorn and 2 drinks is $75,
So a little insight into why theaters actually went to this to begin with is their seat retention when they went from, the full, everybody gets their own seat to the recliner model was about 50%. So they lost about half of their seats. And when you think about what movie theaters offer, right, there's maybe 4 to 10 days out of a year that they're actually sold out. So the couple big movies that open, 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving, maybe 1 other 2 random holidays. So that's kind of where the ideas came from for the variable seating. But I'm right there with you. It's as long as you have the recliners, I don't know if there is a bad seat anymore in the theater.
Exactly.
Dane, what do you think about this?
I wouldn't even tend to think that since COVID, like even those holidays you mentioned, like necessarily sell out in most theaters around the country. Maybe in like some of the larger metro areas they do, but and I'm with Drew that like I don't know that there's actually like a bad seat at the AMC in my town, which is Council Bluffs, Iowa. Like sometimes I pick the back row because it's like amazing and away from people. So if that was just cheaper to do that, sure, it's going to help me. But if I'm going to the theater, I'm going no matter what price I'm going to pay because I actively chose to go to the theater instead of watching these things at home. So I've actually only been to the theater 3 times since the pandemic. And, the decision that was like, not, is this already available at home or is this in the theater? It's, I want the theater experience. So I'm going to pay whatever that is. And I'm going to make sure that I'm far away from people. So I'm not buying that ticket till last minute because I do not want somebody breathing on me, flashing their cell phone in my face.
Well, one of the benefits too, I guess, of coming out of all the COVID stuff is that they are scheduling more screenings too, right? Opening maybe an hour earlier. because they need more time to clean, and so that there ends up just being more shows throughout the day. So, hopefully they keep pushing that, and hopefully that the variable pricing doesn't get too crazy. Let's talk a hypothetical here. Eric, Avengers is coming out, Avengers 4 or whatever, Avengers 5, 6, whatever, down the road, and they have a variable pricing model, and you're the first one to buy tickets. What's the most that you'd pay for a premiere movie more over the top to make sure that you're getting a seat on that first weekend? Something that you really care about.
$25-$30. I mean, honestly, though, if you get 3-4 people together, you can pool that $30 a piece and just rent the theater out. I know that you can't often do that the opening night. It just goes back to, Andy, I miss movie camp. Will you come back with that? I never sat next to assholes there. It was great.
We'll see what we can do for you, Eric. Maybe we can pull something up. Dane, how much would you pay for opening weekend movie that you love or care about?
Yeah, I'm right in that camp of 30 is too much, I think, for one movie, but 25. Yeah, let's
25.
We can go 25.
Drew, what do you think? How much would you pay?
I'll go a crisp 20. 20 is as much as I would go.
Okay. You'll just find another show, right? You'll just go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many options now where you can rent it. If you have certain streaming platforms, you can see it without even leaving your house. Like, good. $20 to be in a crowd? Nah.
Mike says 15 is the most he would pay, but he definitely wants movie camp to come back too. I think that I'd probably pay $30 for a movie, but it'd have to be, like Avengers level good to be paying that much for it. To Eric's point, the best thing that happened for us this last 2 years has been able to rent movie theaters. We get 30 of your friends for $250 and everyone ends up paying less than $10 a ticket. So we've seen a lot of great movies that way. So, all right, well, through 2 rounds now, everybody has 8 points. So we're going to go to this final round with 3 people.
Yeah.
And we're just going to pick a winner in the final round. So let's go ahead into our round 3. Okay, so our final question today, we are going to talk about Grand Theft Auto 5 because why not? We've only been talking about it for 10 years. It launches again for what is jokingly the 100th time, but literally probably the 6th or 7th release of this game. And this time it's for the next-gen systems, but it's so old at this point. I don't actually want to talk about Grand Theft Auto. What I want to talk about is what video game in your life that you would have paid easily multiple times over to have it in different areas and different places. Dane, I'd like you to go first.
Okay, so first of all, I don't really play video games other than Angry Bird on my cell phone. However, there is one video game that would, like if they said that they were going to release it on the PS5, I'd consider getting a PS5. And keep in mind, I still have a PS3, which the last time I played anything on it, it was this game. And I revisit it usually around Christmas time because I have like 10 days off in a row. And I'm like, I can get this started again. Skyrim. I would pay for Skyrim on multiple platforms for till the end of time. And they don't have to upgrade it or do anything to it.
You know what? Everybody has paid for that multiple times on multiple platforms too. Yep. That's like the second game on the list of games that you've bought a million times. So I can totally see you paying for Skyrim more than once. Eric, what do you think that you'd pay multiple times for?
Let's go with what I have paid multiple times for. Kind of similar to Dane's answer. I have bought more versions of Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man over the years. I probably have one version on every single console I own, from the Atari 2600 to Genesis, all the way up to I've got a version of Pac-Man on my PS5. So I will continue to buy Pac-Man until the day I die. Andy, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Championship Edition. You put the Pac-Man name on it, and it's a guy in a maze or a girl in a maze. I'm sold. I'm in.
There.
Okay, all right. And Drew, what game would you spend a lot of money on?
So I mean, there for a while when I was playing, because I got an Xbox 360. I still play, NCAA 2011. So I was kind of doing that, with the sport. I'm a big sports video game guy. So you pay every year for the new Madden or the new FIFA or the new NBA. But sports games aside, I will have to go. My all-time favorite game that I wish would come out again and do different versions of it is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time.
Nice.
I wish could spend money to bring that on whatever.
That game was such a massive staple of my life growing up and playing that on, back in the day on the Nintendo. Nintendo, right? Was the original Eric release for that? Turtles in
NES.
Time?
Yeah.
NES, yeah. So that was my jam. I am excited about it. Now, I wanted to see if we could get Dane the win here, so we could maybe will into existence some Elder Scroll on the PS5, just so you're forced to buy one. But honestly, I've got to give this win to Drew here today because Turtles in Time is such a great game and totally deserves all of the praise and love that it gets. So I'm going to go ahead and remove Eric. I'm going to remove Dane. I'm going to remove myself. You've got 30 seconds. Talk about whatever you want. You are today's champion right after I give you a little an overlay here. Go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
So I need everyone's support because I just recorded my debut comedy album at Dead Crow Comedy Club in Wilmington, North Carolina, produced by Project Nerd. The special will be released here hopefully soon. And then the album will be released at the same time on Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, hopefully everything. So please be on the lookout. Check it out, drewharrisoncomedy.com, on Instagram at Laugh with Harrison, and stay tuned.
Drew Harrison, that is awesome. At drewharrisoncomedy.com, right, is the address?
Yep.
Website?
That's
all right,
it.
well, make sure everybody check it out. For everybody here today, this is a really great show. I don't mind having only 3 people because we can all talk the whole time, and I'll be here for the whole episode. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We had a bunch of views today. We appreciate you all, and we will see you. So next week, 10th anniversary special. Iggy might be here doing it. So we'll see him next week, and I'll be back in 2 weeks. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.